Well, it's 1 o'clock. So let's get started. I'm really excited to do this webinar for you all because AI has been a really hot topic in the industry. So today we're going to talk about AI strategies to help your agency grow and become more efficient. So a quick look at our agenda. We're going to talk about building efficiency with AI, leveraging AI tools and just processes and process enhancements for agency growth. We'll walk you through step by step how you can adopt AI at your agency. So this isn't just going to be like a fluffy presentation, where we tell you a lot of things and then you don't know what to do with it. We're actually going to walk you through what you should do and how you can do it. We'll jump on a live demo just to kind of show you in real time the power of AI and how you can kind of incorporate it into your day-to-day, and then just chat through any questions that you may have. All right. So a little bit about who we are. I'm Monica Barraket. I am VP of Operations at Agency Revolution, and I handle client and marketing operations. So my team, my marketing operations team is the team that kind of draws you in and educates you on everything related to insurance marketing. And then my client operations team takes care of you when you become a client and throughout your entire life cycle with us. We have a really great team, really fabulous reputation. I hope you get to work with us. This crazy photo that you see on the screen on the slide is actually an AI generated headshot. And as you can see, I don't really look anything like it. It kind of took off about 20 years off of my actual age, which is really great. I appreciate that. A little kind of, sometimes odd looking if you really look at it in detail and if it's really enlarged, but this was AI generated. I uploaded a bunch of selfies of myself and then this is what it spat out. So a little bit of work to do yet to make it perfect, but I was competing with Jason because we were having like a fun who has the best photo for this webinar competition. He obviously won, you'll see that, but I needed to at least be competitive. So Jason,
I'm
welcome.
Jason. Thanks. I'm Jason Walker, president of Agency Revolution. I wanted to be fun, kind of tongue in cheek, since we're doing this thing around AI. I'm also very excited because over the holidays, I got my hands on one of the MetaQuest 3 virtual reality gaming platforms. And so that's what I'm wearing here. I will tell you that I do some CE credit courses across the country around AI. And when I'm doing that, I'll usually lead with a video that was 60 minutes in Australia where they are having a conversation with the most sophisticated AI robot. So tongue in cheek, I'm looking like a cyborg. People quickly jump to AI being really grounded in something that's truly superficial and might actually take over humans one day. Not necessarily the case. I wanted to poke fun at that and also say that even in that video that I show to the group, I then follow up with the fact that if you go to the company that manufactures that robot that is very human-like, it's usually being booked for conferences and parties, large events, to almost be kitschy. So there's a lot of work to be done in this space, and what we want to do today is really ground you in the ways that you can use artificial intelligence in a pragmatic way. So thanks for letting me win that photo contest, Monica. I really
Yes,
wanted
you
to
did.
do
You
something
really
different.
did. Yeah, we don't even have to like ask the audience. Like you've full on won it. By the way, for those of you who didn't connect the dots, Jason is my boss. This is our first webinar where I am hosting and he is my guest. I'm a little nervous. So if you see me like, talk all over myself, just know that, my boss is here and he's
Oh
kind
my
of
gosh.
listening to every word I say. So
And Monica, I will just counter that with saying we are business partners and we're in this together for better or worse.
I love it. All right. So moving on, what we do. If you are new here or if you're an existing client, I just want to give you guys a quick recap of the products that we have at Agency Revolution. This is going to be our one and only 30-second hardcore sales pitch that Jason is going to tackle for us. So Jason, you got 30 seconds. Tell us about Agency Revolution.
Agency Revolution works with over 3,000 independent agencies. We drive growth and retention for the business. How do we do that is usually the question. So Fuse marketing and communication automation connects straight to the management system and handles the life cycle of communication on behalf of your agency based on where that customer is, right time, right moment, right communication. We pair that with our Forge websites to give you that 24/7 always on effect. It's more than just a website. If you have a website today, it's got a market for you, it's got to sell, and it's got a service. And so by combining us, we provide a lot of the front and back end that's complementary to your management system so that you can really pull us together. And then we've got a lot of add-on stuff to that. People ask about social media, people ask about reputation management and getting reviews into their platform and exposing that. We do work for you. We have a program called Do It For Me if you want to be able to help offset some of that digital marketing work that you do. So that's us in a nutshell. We've been in business since 2012 and really proud to be here talking about how AI is now folding in to our solutions and really just the industry at large.
Great job. And by the way, I just want to say, Eustace and Angela, you are my favorites on this webinar
Because of
because
the raise,
according to them, I deserve a raise, Jason. And I think you should really listen to our audience. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. But
I am
Jason,
reading that. I
nice
did see
job.
that pop up. I also saw 120 inches of snow somewhere in
Yeah.
Michigan. That is insane.
That is crazy. Exactly. I agree. All right. So AI in insurance. AI is a really big topic, right? I know you hear about it. Every conference you go to, every webinar you probably attend, everywhere you go, it's AI on TV, everywhere. I kind of like to compare this to where we were with social media in like the mid 2000s, like I don't know, between 2005 and 2010. I remember, setting up my first Facebook profile, and then I started a little marketing consultancy, and I started coaching businesses on actually how to use Facebook for business. So there's this big talk about Facebook business pages and why they're important, and everybody was kind of like, oh, hold on, we're not ready for this. Like, we don't need it. Social media, that's going to be a fad. And here we are in 2025, and it's still a pretty big deal to have some sort of a social presence to kind of keep that pulse, right? So that's where I feel like AI is. And we have the same situation with websites, Jason, right? Like, we're like, I don't need a website. I do referrals only, referral business only, right?
Right.
And now you have to have a website for credibility. So AI is here. It's the same as all the other tech that came before it, where we thought it wasn't going to be anything, and then it became something that you really needed to pay attention to. And where I want you to focus is not like just the scary parts of it, right? It's not going to take over the human race. It's going to enhance the human race. And it's really going to it's going to help your agency to kind of take your business to the next level in terms of growth and efficiency. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And what I want to actually go into now, Jason, is just your thoughts on what you've been seeing, because you talk to a lot of agencies. You're out there at conferences and different events. How are agencies adapting AI? Like, what do you think is the vibe out there?
Um, so I'm asked like, where's AI going and should we care? The answer is absolutely yes. The answer is if you're not paying attention to it, you should. You should not clamor towards every solution that's being offered. You really should look at addressing AI in a meaningful way. And so there are kind of three pointers that I would give as a baseline starting point because again, pay attention to it, figure out ways that it can help your business and then deploy. And so those three kind of pointers are one, you should be simplifying the user experience. So reducing user effort, removing friction, making interactions more intuitive. So simplify that user experience. Two is reduce any kind of effort around tasks that are more rote or repetitive. So you need to decrease complexity, speed up implementation, and automate a lot of those repetitive tasks. AI should be able to help with that. And the third one is it should help dramatically benefit your business. And so it should unlock new capabilities. It should provide significant or better outcomes, make the feature far more powerful than a non AI version when you're looking at tools that you might deploy within your agency. That's how agencies want to learn about it. I would say by the fact that we have 100 plus attendees right now and 300 plus that registered for this, agents know that they should be adapting and using, but it really is it meaningful to your business? If you can prove that out, then move forward with it. If you can't, why not? And make sure that you're capturing that from your team the way that they treat AI within the organization. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of that kind of combined knowledge if I had to wrap it up in 3 points or less.
Yeah, just a little preview. So before we get into the meat of it, let's do a quick poll that I'm going to attempt to uh, launch right now. And the question is, does your agency currently use AI? Because we have a fun little stat coming up on the next slide, and I kind of want to see where you guys land, right? Like, are you sort of at the same level as what the statistics is saying, or are we not quite there yet? Because we have feedback for both for both situations. So I'm kind of curious where we're going to end up, Jason. It looks like we're almost there. Let's give it another second or two. And in the meantime, if you guys want to throw anything in chat, we have Ian on our Agency Revolution marketing team who's monitoring chat and the Q&A. So if you guys have any questions that are specific to this webinar that you want answered, put them in Q&A. If you just want to kind of chit chat and just, ask just a simple question that doesn't require a full-blown commentary on the webinar, then feel free to throw it into chat. All right, so I am going to close this poll in about 4 seconds. So throw your last comment in. Done. Okay. So let's flip over to this statistic. So according to Agency Forward, 79% of principal agents plan on adopting AI by 2025. Here's where the results are of our little poll here. So 65% of you are not there yet. You have not been using AI at your agency. 35% of you are. So there's a little bit of a gap, Jason, right?
Well, and I think that this kind of goes back to the point that we've been making. Agencies at large plan to adopt it. I just saw a comment pop up that says, "I have no idea where to start with AI." So I think the premise of this is we all as a group on this call are planning to do it. The question then becomes how, and that our data supporting that people just aren't quite using AI yet. And I think that that's a charge to companies like us if you're a partner now or if you're thinking about that or another solution that you're looking at. What is their roadmap and plan for artificial intelligence to help you as an agency? Because you are admitting that you plan to, but you just haven't yet. And I think there's room to grow within that. It's good and it doesn't surprise me necessarily.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why we're having this webinar, because we're going
That's
to
right.
show you practical ways that you can take advantage of it. We're actually going to give you tools to be able to do it right when, as soon as you get that webinar replay. And you're going to get that handout that's literally going to show you this is what you plug into any AI tool in order to get some sort of a response back that can help your agency. So let's move on and get right into it. So in terms of adopting AI, the best place to start, in my opinion, is in streamlining your day-to-day agency operations. So you're identifying, like Jason mentioned before, you're identifying tasks that are repetitive, that could really, be helped with automation. You're looking at tools and technologies that can help drive that automation in a better way. Those are the things you're considering. Remember, it's not replacing the human at your agency, it's just enhancing the human at your agency. So, this is kind of how I look at it and how we speak to our team about it at Agency Revolution. We're not looking to get rid of the humans. We just want you all to focus on the things that you like to do more, right? And eliminate the stuff that's repetitive and that just something else like a good AI tool can handle instead. So as we get into how do you do that? Whoops, sorry, clicked the wrong thing. As we get into what are some of those operational efficiencies that you can create, Jason, give us
Yeah,
a
and
little
I
rundown of that dinner that you had and the things you learned in addition to what we were showing here on the slide.
yeah, and I'm reading the comments as they go. Someone's like, "Give us 2 examples of rote tasks that are repetitive." And so here are some. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes the expectation is it's got to solve the world's problems, because that's the way that AI is being pitched. If you pay attention to just news or you go to the conference and everybody's displaying how something is taking over for a phone call or something that feels a little bit too big for the agency, when in reality, AI deployed in a meaningful way can ultimately affect things that are up on your screen. So I'll get to the dinner in a minute, but if you think about scheduling appointments, you want to be able to have something that's constantly reminding you or bringing information back about that appointment that's coming up, as well as back and forth communication, which also lends itself to automation, which a lot of you are probably already deploying. You just might have an AI layer in that to be able to extract more data about that client that leads you up to a successful appointment that you're having. Policy renewals, going through the process of checking pre versus future policies and gaps in the insurance coverage. There are solutions and tools that are out there, which is a very succinct, rote process that when I was consulting agencies in my past life, this was one of the number one pieces that was coming back to me before AI was really being introduced as like an everyday thing for agents. I was getting questions like, listen, I just need to be able to look at, on behalf of my commercial clients, contracts and compare a contract for my client that they are about to execute on behalf of some, I don't know, big construction site or whatever, and that contract and the updates from the last year. And is there a gap in insurance coverage? And there were people that were doing the process of those comparisons and jamming through massive commercial contracts. And the question was, is there just a way to reduce some of that? Because I see higher turnover in that position. And I know that there's probably a quick checker that can get me 75% of the way there. And at that time, we had to go outside and look in the legal industry before bringing it back into insurance. I would argue now that there are tools growing specifically in this space that do that for you. So in addition to what you see here on the screen, we mentioned as a precursor when we were coming in here, I attended a dinner last night where we had carriers and big brokers and insurtechs all in a room sitting together, and we were hashing where are there inefficiencies, and it kept coming back to my customer base is growing, or the fact that sometimes there's a squeeze within a particular region or state around certain coverage with carrier partners. That all falls back on me. How do I start to condition somebody well before they come up for renewal to let them know what these impacts are going to be, because I'm burning out my CSR group? And so these are real world examples where if you can start to condition through automation, which obviously has existed, and building certain content and being able to deploy that through AI, you can start to have the initial communication come out from your technology so that you as CSRs and producers can ultimately have better concerted conversations and be that advisor at those moments of impact where AI will never replace that human. So hopefully that gives you a good overview. And those were a lot of the inefficiencies discussed last night, which was perfect timing because we were coming into this webinar today and AI is top of mind.
Yeah. And these are just a few examples. I mean, there's obviously so much
Yeah.
more that you can consider in terms of operational efficiency, but these are just the few that we wanted to highlight for you today. There's many more that you can think through. So let's take a look at what AI can do for us. So what we did here was we put in a prompt into our AI tool that's built into our Agency Revolution products. It's called Sidekick. And that prompt is actually going to be part of that resource that you'll receive during after the you'll receive the webinar replay email. So don't worry, you don't have to like copy and paste somehow or start typing it to save it. We'll be sharing the actual prompt and more than just this one with you. But just real quick, this is our proprietary AI tool Sidekick built into our product. It's one of them. We have First Draft, which helps you write blog articles. We have First Draft for blogging, First Draft for email, which helps you write a variety of different emails in our marketing automation product. We actually have an AI tool built into our social media platform as well. So there's many different ways that we incorporate AI into AR products. We're just showing you how you can do this on our product, but you can actually get this done on any, right? So if you're using ChatGPT, if you're using Claude, any generic AI tools out there, you can do this. But if you have Fuse or Forge, you can do it better. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So here's the prompt that we plugged in, right? The prompt was, how do I streamline appointment scheduling for my agency? Help me come up with some sort of a step-by-step process on how I can get that done. So we plugged that into Sidekick, gave it a little bit of context, and you could see the wording we used in here. We're an independent insurance agency. We specialize in auto insurance. Our goal is to enhance efficiency by automating the process of appointment scheduling. Here here's kind of the steps that are involved. Can you give us a quick little strategy? So that was the input. Then this is what the output was. So this was just one version. We didn't really tweak it. Whatever we put in, this is what it spat out. And as you could see, what it gave us was a really good step-by-step process of things to consider in order to streamline that appointment scheduling, right? So you kind of plug in that prompt, you allow AI to generate a response. If you don't like the response, if it missed something, if it maybe didn't consider all of the things that you wanted it to consider, or you forgot to mention something, you could ask it to, rephrase it. You could say, hey, you missed this, or can you also incorporate that? And it'll redo it for you and spit out a new response that, is likely going to be much better. So the more you refine it, the better the output will be. And then you grab that and just begin to incorporate it at your agency. Start working through these steps in order to handle that specific automation that you're looking for. So just one example of how you can use AI specific to streamlining agency operations. All right, and if there's any questions, post them to the Q&A, or if you want to just shoot them into chat, that's totally fine too. Whatever works for you. Ian will answer them, or we'll answer them at the end of this session. Okay, so next step that your agency can take in your AI journey is client engagement. So what we're going to talk about next is the importance of personalized communication, why that matters for your agency's growth and retention as well, and different tools that you could consider for tailoring that those client interactions. But I think the other thing that I know, Jason, you're going to sort of speak to is just how the hard market has impacted the need to do those things more, and some other things that will be that you'll mention.
Yeah, I was at a baseball game, and I always mispronounce this, in Worcester,
I think it's the
Massachusetts.
second one. I think it's Worcester. It's like
Okay, so
yeah.
I never get it right, and I'm always corrected, and it's bad to say it the wrong way. But they have a great minor league baseball team, and I was there on behalf of a group that we partner with, and had some great conversation. And this was a little bit more at what I would call the height of the hard market. And so I asked a question, knowing that I was setting myself up to get somewhat of a really passionate response. But I wanted to, because I wanted to hear from an agency, like, how do you talk through this, or what is the real challenge? So I posed the question, all right, in a hard market, I know that I would have to guess that your revenue is actually going up because the premium is going up. And you told me that you have still a very strong retention rate. And so someone on the outside looking in, and probably your consumers, are like, what, are you just getting richer off of this period of time? And I was speaking specifically to a COO of the agency, and he immediately said to me, which I expected, but I wanted to hear it, was, yes, that is probably the perception from the outside. But what I'm actually dealing with is I'm watching a higher turnover rate within my CSR group, because they are faced with challenging questions in this market. So we might be retaining our customer base, and the premium might be growing, which ultimately you would think could go down and create a bit more profitability. But there's a margin squeeze because of the fact that I have people that are burning out over the inundation of questions. And so when they burn out, they turn over. And then I have to bring in select new group of people, go through the training process. That doesn't happen overnight, weeks, or even a month. And so all of that operational change creates a larger expense for agencies. And he was like, it's not just relegated to me. This is, every agency is facing that. And so in that mentality and in that mindset, which absolutely totally makes sense, and wanted to hear it from an agency that's dealing with it in the trenches at that moment. And then thinking about ways of, okay, at that time, we were talking a little bit more about automation. AI was continuing to build in the background. But what if you could start to personalize communication? And it's not that you are trying to just absolve yourself as a CSR or producer. It's more so just something that sounds and feels like you in that communication or those interactions, so that you can breathe for a moment, you can retain your staff, you can recruit and say, I've got tools in place that ultimately offset a lot of what might be mundane or just building over time to allow you to be an advisor to your client. And so that was like the core crux of the issue that we even saw with our customer base is we're trying to offset a lot of the things that just come in the same question 100 times over. The explanation doesn't really change, but we need to put our voice print on that. We need to have that human emotion, and we will ultimately get re-engaged with that client, just not today, because I've got 1,000 more things to do. And so that is the premise for thinking about how do you bring in AI, mix it with some automation, and start to see a little bit more of margin growth while retaining your existing employee base, which we know it's sometimes hard to find talent in this industry. We don't want to lose it.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, one of these answer questions quickly. I just wanted to call this out because I wanted to give an example of how my operations team uses this concept. We have message templates that are built out in our communication system front. These are commonly asked questions, right? Things that it's the same answer over and over again. We just have to kind of customize it based on each individual client's scenario. So all of these templates live within our front communication system. A client emails in and has a question about whether or not their website is hosted with us, or how do we handle domain registration, or how to set up a campaign segment on Fuse. We use the message templates as a starting point for our support team, right? So we don't just kind of copy and paste that templated answer and throw it in as a response and, call it a day. We use it as a starting point. It just creates a much more efficient system. They grab that response, customize it to that specific agency because, there's always something else thrown into the email or another question that maybe is in there. So we customize it. We make sure that it's actually responding to the client and saying what they want to know about, and then getting that answer out really quickly. That's how our very small team is able to get through 1,000+ support requests each month without a hitch, with great feedback, because we have all of these different tools and processes that help us be more efficient. So the human is still there and it's really important, but AI and automation is helping us do the work faster and in a better way.
And I would just say, like, to wrap it and summarize it, it can take a C writer and make them an A writer, which is important because we're
For
working
sure.
in a professional life.
Yes, for sure. Not all of us are fabulous writers. I'm one of them. Let me tell you, the whole Oxford comma thing, just, I don't, I still really struggle with it, where to put the comma, and when. So I definitely use AI for that. Like, can you please clean up what I'm saying here? Very, very
Yes, there's
helpful.
someone who loves the Oxford comma. I was an English major, so I am not going down this path.
I know, but let me tell you, Ian feels very strongly about the Oxford comma, and like, so I learned it from him, but like, I still have to double check myself to make sure that I'm doing it right. So, all right. So real quickly, we have a quick poll for you, but not in the actual polling tool. We want you to throw these answers into chat if you can. What are some of the most common questions that you get from your clients at your agency? So if you guys can just throw a bunch of things into chat and let us know what are some of those common questions. What we're going to do later on in the webinar is actually, when we do the live demo, we can grab one or a few of these questions and throw them into our first draft for blogging or first draft for email tool and show you how quickly we can generate a response. And I promise you, it's not prepared. Like, we'll totally be live and in the moment. It's not scripted in the
You're
least
getting
bit.
some good ones, Monica. I'm
Yeah, I'm
loving what
seeing
I'm seeing.
I'm
They're
seeing a lot
flying.
about premiums going up, so those will be fun. Okay, cool. So thank you for keep throwing those in there. And like I said, depending on how much time we have, we can do, one or a few or however many we have time for. So really quickly, let's see what AI can actually do for us within this segment, right? So what we plugged into AI again was can you prepare a template for us for auto insurance deductibles questions, right? Like, we get those questions a lot. I need just a great quick templated answer that my team can use. So that's what we did here. And again, this is in your AI resource that you'll receive with the replay. And once again, you could use this with Agency Revolution products, or you could use it with a generic AI tool that's out there in the market. So this is what we plugged in. Our agency specializes in auto insurance, and we receive this question about deductibles for auto insurance really frequently. Help us create a template for how to respond to that question. And here is what it returned, right? So it came back with a response that was friendly, and kind of short and sweet, and it talked about how to answer those questions in a more templated way. And it even like did the brackets with the client's name, so you can grab that and use it as a true template and have your team kind of rinse and repeat and then adjust and customize as they wish. Again, if it didn't give you what you wanted it to give you, you can say, hey, I don't really like the vibe of that. I want it to be more friendly, or I want it to be more direct, or whatever. So you could really change it up, as much as you'd like to, if it's not giving you the result that you're looking for. So again, just another idea of how you can use AI to help you become more efficient in client communication in this case, by putting together different templates to help your team answer those questions in a quicker way. All right. So next step is leveraging AI for marketing growth. Uh, I'm gonna take this one, and I'm gonna take this one for obvious reasons because I run marketing operations. But let me tell you, just fully, honest statement here. If it wasn't for AI, I don't know how I would be doing my job running marketing operations. And I'm not sure how our very small marketing team would be able to do what we do on the day to day. AI is at the core of everything we do on our marketing team. But again, it doesn't replace, it enhances the things that we do so that we can do them in a better way. Um, so some of the ways that you can actually use AI in marketing: drafting blog content. We use AI as a starting point to generate ideas of what to blog about, to get us started on an idea, maybe kind of just put together a little quick bulleted list of the things that we'd like to cover. We use AI to help us put together a blogging strategy for the quarter, for the year. If we want to do a blog that's more, educational, or maybe we want to do one that's more SEO oriented, AI helps us create a starting point, and then we sort of take it from there and humanize the content to make sure that it's saying what we want it to say, that it's, has our tone, our voice, the right messaging, the right information in there. Jason, I know you use our AI tool quite a bit to kind of get yourself started with different ideas for
I
articles and
do.
things.
I use it as like a first draft or whiteboard session, I guess, because I when I build things, the first thing that I do is just word vomit and
Hmm.
say, these are my thoughts. This is my topic. This is where I'd like to go. Help me organize. And I mentioned I was an English major, and when you were writing a paper, when we used to use pencil and pen, you would start by creating a bulleted list without so much the organization, but more so where you wanted the direction, the theme to go, etc. And so I use it in that manner, and it obviously acts as an assistant for me. And it just helps to speed up the process of some of the ideation. I know where I want to go. And then what happens is you start to argue with the AI solution, and you will say, that's not what I meant. And I really don't want to address this. And you will see the prompt, that'll go in, and then the response will be, I'm so sorry, I see where you're going now, let me think about this in a different way. And then something pops out. You end up having more of a humanized discussion with what feels like or appears to be an assistant. And I will say, taking this and then speaking to a crowd and asking agents to come up with how would you start to think about a topic that seems to be difficult for your customer to understand, and you want to break it down. And so people lobbed up ideas, and then from there it's like, well, you could ask these AI solutions, all right, great, create something that's a little bit more elementary, break that down into 6 social posts, 3 radio ads, like, and everybody was putting this into the prompt in real time. And someone raised their hand in the back of the room. They're like, I'm responsible for radio ads. And she said, I actually came up with a 30, 15, and 60-second spot that I can now return to our agency. And that part is done. I'm, of course, providing the oversight, but how quickly that came back to me. And that's always an important thing, is time it and then see what type of efficiency you gain. And that starts to open your mind to, oh, wow, I just created something for this segment for a year. Let's go to the next segment that I want to go after. So it really just starts to roll and snowball as you move forward on the power of it. Just don't let it take control. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw a few comments in there about like, oh, like if you have your team doing it, like that could be sort of a runaway train, is just my interpretation of what was said. You could templatize that process. So like you can actually create an AI prompt template for every blog you generate or every social post you generate, or even like if you want a marketing strategy to be built out for you, you can create a template of the process that needs to be followed for every single article, and the things that you want the team to pay attention to, and the words that you want included versus not included. And then your team can then implement that with the help of AI, right? So it's not like you're just hoping that they get it right. You can actually set the standards for how the team is using AI in terms of marketing or really any other application. So just a few more notes on other ways we use it at Agency Revolution. Social media, I mean, it's a good starting point. I can't always come up with a social post about the 25 conferences that we attend. So, I ask AI to help me change up the wording and help me change up the vibe of the post, so that we could have a little bit of a different vibe each time we're posting. I've used AI at the end of 2024 to help me come up with a 2025 marketing strategy for our new marketing team. So again, there's so many different applications. It's such a helpful tool. What I'm hoping to use it for in 2025, in addition to all of these different elements, is we're playing around with AI images. So my team has been playing with creating images using AI prompts. So, just like custom images using Adobe Express. Teaser, that is actually something that's on the roadmap for 2025, but don't hold me to it because it might get moved. But image creation within Agency Revolution products is actually on the roadmap. So that would be super cool for you all if you're a client. We're also looking at using AI for video editing. So just fun ways that we could use AI to help eliminate the ums and the ahs and the pauses, and to kind of clean up the video, maybe even have like a little, what do we call it? We were thinking of doing like a race car driver, like avatar, Jason, with the whole racing theme. So anyway, there's lots of
Okay.
ideas about what we could do. So just some ideas on how you could use AI in marketing for you.
Hey,
All
Monica
right.
and
So
Jason, we had a question
yes.
from Kelly Baker. I'm not sure if you guys have any insight on this, but she asked if there's any copyright issues using AI created content on social media.
Good question. This comes up a lot in the training sessions, and the answer is, and I saw someone else ask the question of what model we're using, so I'm going to pull these two together. We're using GPT 4.0. O stands for Omni, and it actually plays off of what Monica was speaking to, which is not only text-based but audio, video-based. So we aren't using a free version, and that's the caveat or note I would make to you, is that you're either working with a company like ours that is using a model that is proprietary to the business so that the results, the prompts, etc., aren't shared on a free version. There are free versions. And I will share that when I'm doing like the education stuff, I ask everybody just to sign up, in this case for ChatGPT or whatever, only to test it and play with it. But the moment that you start thinking about running any kind of data through, the moment that you want it to be specific to your brand and proprietary, the recommendation is, if you're going to do it in-house, to have the licensed versions versus using something as a free tool. And these are all the considerations that come up that are warning signs and to make sure that you don't do. We don't want you to end up with any kind of E&O issues, which is why for us, everything's built within a proprietary and locked down standard for our company. We would say the same to you if you're not working with us. Make sure that when you start to get intense about this and you want to avoid copyright, trademark issues, etc., that you're in your own license version, which separates what you're doing from the outside world.
Yeah, agreed. Good point. Great answer, Jason. So here's an example of first draft for blogging. I just wanted to kind of show you a prompt that we used to generate an article on spring cleaning tips for homeowners related to insurance. We plugged in a very basic prompt. As you could see over here, the prompt is, please write me a blog. Please write a blog for me that is about spring cleaning tips for my agency's clients who are homeowners and advice that resonates with home insurance. This is what it spat out. Again, we'll show you this live in the live demo at the end of the presentation, but the point is, this is first draft, which comes with Forge insurance websites. The reason why that prompt was able to be super brief and simple is because the context of you being an independent insurance agency and this being the insurance space and E&O considerations are all built into our tool. If you're using other tools that are more generic like ChatGPT or Claude, you're going to have to put the context of who your agency is, what industry you're in, what's important to you, what words to use and not use into the prompt as well. So just keep that in mind, but this is what it spat out. So again, you're taking something that might have taken you 4 hours to do to write a blog article down to minutes, if not sometimes seconds, depending on how much time you spend reading through it and making sure that it works. Some benefits of fresh marketing content that you might want to consider, because we're still talking about this marketing bucket, right? You can keep your website active. You can improve your SEO if you consistently put out content that's SEO rich, and AI can help you make that content SEO rich. You can educate your clients, which is really great for retention. You can educate your prospects, which is really great for growth. So just one last thought I want to leave you with as we kind of wrap up the marketing piece is marketing is really important to your agency, whether you're a one-person agency or you've got 40 people, working at your agency. Marketing is important. It's probably not the thing that you should be saving on. It's the thing that you should be driving more resources towards, because it's going to help your agency retain, but also grow. All right, Jason, so let's talk about nurturing client relationships. I think you and I both know, right? It costs more to bring in a new client than to retain an existing one. And here's a fun little quote that actually we pulled from our community poll that we just ran a few weeks ago, around just the importance of nurturing client relationships and having that communication be part of your strategy. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, so the theme here is milestone events, if you couldn't tell. And we know that every customer experiences its life cycle. And that is, let's say, a brand new customer to the point of renewal. What do you do in those moments in between in order to build credibility, personalization, and humanization, even though you might be leveraging technology? And so we're making some recommendations on specific events. These aren't the totality, but they are places where our agencies that are using our automation mixed with AI are putting some emphasis, because the point of view is that as things are happening within a life, whether that's personal lines or commercial lines, and there's growth taking place, there are more, let's say, assets being added to either one of those that require protection, risk protection. There are the points where people are filing claims, as we know, and the process that they go through. And we know that that is also in conjunction with your carrier partners, but you play that role of making sure that you're bridging the gap between what's happening between the carrier and what's happening with the client, and being at those moments of truth to say something, if nothing else, just to provide encouragement that the process is taking place, etc. These are all areas where it's germane to your business, and you will be doing it until you sell your agency or whatever the case may be, leave. But you know that you're going to have customers that are constantly growing. You're going to have claims, you're going to have policy renewal, client anniversaries. In those moments where that personalization matters, it seems like a no-duh moment, but at the same time, it's that touch point that matters. And so as Monica's been kind of showing, and again, we're going to do a live demo, but showing that there are tools created, and they're not just ours. There are tools created that can take into effect the tone, that can take into effect your brand voice, how you might repeat the word folks all the time. And so you want to make sure that that's in your prompt, because that's specific to you, so that when that communication goes out around those particular milestone events, it is bringing your personal touch, because you always mean to sound good, true, and natural to your customer. We just know that as your book grows, that that's not always possible. And so how much you can rely on a tool to at least take some of those moments and automate that with some content creation that doesn't rely on you keystroking everything, those are the places where you can win. And when we ask our agencies, so what happens if you're able to start to automate that and you get some creation through the generation of AI? What does that mean for you? Our agency share back, I save, I don't know, 4 to 5 hours a week per producer or CSR. And I mentioned that earlier. That then extrapolates into cost savings. That then says that you can reposition your resources to things that keep them in the business. So that's why this nurturing and relationship building matters so much, and how AI can just take bits and pieces off of your plate while maintaining your intention, which is to be good to your client base.
Yeah, great points. And I really love the piece that you said about, like, using the word folks, like, hey, I use the word folks all the time, incorporate that into my messaging, my messaging template, right? Really important in making it sound like you and not like a robot. So that was a
Right.
really great tip. And here's just an example. And actually, I'm going to skim over this. I don't want to even go into too much detail because I'd rather show you guys this live. So this is just another example of a prompt that we put in around communication, on how about policy renewal, and then the email that it spat out using our first draft for email tool. So we'll actually show you this one live. So stay tuned for that. So this is wrap up, you guys. We're going to wrap up what we learned, and then I'm going to talk to you about the resource that you'll be receiving, and then we'll do a live demo. So definitely hang on for a few more minutes so that you could see it live, and we can take some of those answers that you gave us in one of our polls and actually incorporate them into the live demo. So just a quick recap, Jason, if you can.
I would just throw the word meaningful on top of all of this. So if you're going to deploy AI, it must be meaningful. What is meaningful? These 4 points: streamlining your operations, enhancing that client engagement, refining marketing efforts, and nurturing client relationships. As long as you can attribute back, whether that's time savings, whether that's increase in revenue, whether you're rounding out accounts so that you can create a better lifetime value for each one of those clients, and then say, I was able to do that because AI had a layer and helped me, then that's meaningful to your business. If you're doing it because it's the cool thing to do, according to everyone at a conference, but you can't tie it back to an impact to your business, it's probably not worth the effort and time. And so that's where, when you have your goggles on or whatever, and you're looking for, give me something that's meaningful to my business, hold technology firms accountable to that request and make them tell you how you're actually going to get something meaningful back by taking on that technology that has AI layered. That's the spiel.
I love that, because we're all guilty of, like, just the shiny new object and just jumping all over it without really understanding why we're even interested or why it even matters. And positioning it around make it meaningful can help you kind of stay on track and not be distracted by this shiny new object that everyone constantly talks about. Yeah, love
Monica,
that.
I want to
That's a
see the
great point.
demos.
Do you? I know, I could see you're getting antsy. You're like jumping in your chair a little bit. Okay. Before the demo, just 2 more slides really quick. Just a reminder, you will be receiving an exclusive AI prompt resource in the webinar replay email that will be going out tomorrow. So if you want all of the prompts we covered today and more to be sent to you, just make sure you open that email, click on it, and the document will be right there for you. So you could just grab it and use it, begin using it at your agency. So just look out for that email tomorrow. One last poll that I just want to launch. So please entertain me and fill it out. There we go. So right before we get into the demo, as I get everything set up, just do me a favor and complete this poll. If you are new to Agency Revolution and you'd like to demo some of these AI capabilities in our insurance agency website product or our marketing automation product, choose the first option. If you're a current client and you saw something that you don't have, like maybe you have a Forge website, but you don't have Fuse and you want a demo of the other product, or even social media, which has automation built in, choose the second option. And if you're an existing client that's just like, hey, I want additional training, we could do that too. Our team is going to be more than happy to reach out to you and chat with you. And we totally understand if you don't want to talk to us, but like, we're really cool people and super fun. So I hope that, not very
Says
many of you
Monica.
select that. Says me. Come on. How can you not love us? Anyway, so I really appreciate you taking this poll. Just please, as many of you as we can have answer this, that would be great. So while you do that, I'm going to get everything set up for this live demo. All right, so this is First Draft for Forge, which is our blogging tool. And as you can see, I already have a prompt in here, right? And it spat out something. I was actually asking it to write me, an article on understanding the importance of umbrella insurance in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I was actually asking it to do this article and focus on SEO, but also make it educational. So Jason, from some of the answers that we received in that other poll that we took, could you grab me a topic that you think would be interesting for us to write about in a blog and optimize it for SEO? Is there anything that stands out?
Yeah, it's pretty detailed, but I've got one. Premium increase. Why do I pay? Tell me
Okay.
to not talk so fast. Why do I pay for not at fault accidents?
Okay. So write me a blog about premium
Premium increase, and then put like a
increase.
semicolon. Why do I pay
Hmm.
for not at fault? And that's like not hyphen at hyphen fault accidents.
And I didn't do the hyphens because
You're fine.
you don't have to actually be grammatically correct when you're putting in the prompt. AI will fix it. So whatever. Okay, so write me a blog about the premium increase. Why do I pay for not at fault accidents? Make this a long form blog with at least 1,000 words. I threw that in there. I already have long selected here. Like you could say long, you could say medium, you could make it short, but I chose to make it long. But I'm saying specifically to AI, hey, I want it to be at least 1,000 words. Okay. I wanted to optimize the article for the blog for SEO, and I want the keyword to be the topic. So I'm actually going to just throw in premium increase. Um, and I'm doing this quick, so if it doesn't make sense, let me know. But keyword premium increase in Allentown, Pennsylvania, because I want it to optimize for SEO in my local location, and I want the blog to be educational, engaging, easy to read, but also have strong SEO. The tone's going to be casual. I want it to sound neutral. So I'm going to hit generate. And you got to give it a few seconds to, because it's like working through it. It's taking looking at all of your instructions and and formulating the response, so it does take a few seconds to draft it. I'm a
I
little
did
nervous,
the
Jason.
umbrella insurance one live in a group setting. There were like 100 agencies, and that was like one that people wanted to go to. And then I
Yeah.
said, now tell me where it's wrong.
Yeah.
And they're like, as a first draft, it's
It's pretty
not.
good.
I would
Yeah.
add these things, but great.
Yeah. So here's what it gave us, right? Understanding premium increases and not at fault accidents in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And then it goes through, obviously it's incorporating Allentown, Pennsylvania, because I asked it to incorporate that local keyword along with premium increase. So as you could see, I'm not going to read the whole article to you, but it's covering, it's plugging in the location keyword in the subject line. It's plugging in the location keyword in the first sentence of the first paragraph. It's covering why do premiums increase, the different reasons for that. Why you might still have to pay more because of not at fault accidents. So it's covering all of those reasons, right? What you can do about premium increases. So it's telling you how you could potentially, not have as big of an impact. And then just some final thoughts. So again, very simple prompt because the insurance agency context and industry and E&O considerations and other things are already built into First Draft for blogging with our website product. But it's a pretty good result, don't you think, Jason? Did it do a fairly decent
Yeah,
job in this
the
case?
answer is yes, but I always like I will ultimately defer to the crowd, and I know that we're doing this right now, and people are staring at the screen versus being able to digest it. But the typical point is this gives me the framework. Now I can inject my agency's voice, brand, and any intricacies that I want to go into. And that's what's nice is like you have a working framework that you can now build upon. That's the important piece of all of this, and you should not ever just be like, well, time to publish because I just got it out of AI. And I
Yeah.
don't think anyone on here would do that. But my
Yeah.
point is that that's where you need to draw a line.
Yeah. Barry has a really good question. What is the difference between First Draft and Sidekick? So the difference is Sidekick is kind of built into our overall workspace. for Agency Revolution. So whether you have Forge with us, Fuse with us, it doesn't matter. It's just part of the workspace. It's kind of like an AI assistant. You can ask it questions like, hey, what is the most common question asked now within the insurance industry by, insurance clients or something like that. So you could ask it to help you strategize. You can ask it different questions about the industry. You could even ask it, how do I do this thing in my website or in my marketing automation tool? That's Sidekick. So think of it as like a little assistant on the side. First draft is sort of what it says. It gives you your first draft for a blog or for an email. So it's a little bit more specific. The formatting is more specific to that application. And you can actually just like throw it right into your website blog immediately. So it's kind of the same tool, but just two different applications of that tool depending on your need.
I just want to quickly comment that Albert is dead on, and he picked up on the point of leveraging this as a first draft, because he was like, it's good, but you need to proofread. You don't want to tell your clients to, quote, shop around. Absolutely correct. And that's the point.
100%.
It's like,
yep.
Those are the things you'll cut out, or in your prompt, you'll say, avoid these terms or words, never provide a guarantee. Like, that's where your sense as an agency running a business for years, like, your prompts will be better than us taking some off of here, but that is the point. You got a draft that you can then edit versus I'm starting from scratch, starting with word one.
Yep. Agreed. No, you have to read it. You have to make sure that it makes sense. I'm going to jump over into our email tool now. So this is Fuse Marketing Automation, and we could do the same exercise. Before I do, for those of you that are existing clients, let's say you have Forge or you have Fuse, but you don't have the other thing. I just want to mention that we do have a bundle deal where you get $100 off of the total price of the subscription. So it may be something that you might want to consider. So don't forget about my little survey if you're interested in upgrading. All right, Jason, give me something that I want to write an email about.
Yep. Do I have enough replacement costs for my home?
Okay, so what would you classify this as? I guess policy related? Yeah,
yep.
Policy related, right? Okay, so to answer the question, do I have
enough replacement cost for my home?
Okay. All right, and in here, I would probably throw something in like, yes, they do, or something like that. You know what I mean? So like when you're writing this prompt, you as the independent insurance agent should sort of provide the answer. It could be very simple, very basic, but you should just provide the answer because you need to tell AI what the answer actually is in this case. So yes, you do. The answer is yes, they do. Okay. So let's say that. And then we could include a call to action to book a meeting, like if they want to talk more or something like that. Let's make this medium. Let's make this casual, and let's make it neutral, and let's generate. So again, give it a few seconds to work through that. And we're doing this quickly. So again, you're probably going to put a little bit more thought into this that I'm doing live as all of you are watching me.
And you can edit in first draft, or you can ask the prompt to refine. So that's an answer that I just saw the question to. Go ahead, Monica.
So here's the email. Yeah, hope you're doing well. I wanted to touch base with you regarding your home insurance policy. You recently asked if you have enough replacement coverage, cost coverage for your home, and I'm happy to confirm that you do. And then it kind of goes into another paragraph just to sort of, add a little bit more context. And, if you want to chat with us, schedule a meeting. Again, I did a really quick prompt, but you get the idea. You have to read it. You have to make sure that it makes sense. The more information you put into the prompt to kind of make it more personalized, the better. But it's getting the vibe of what you're trying to accomplish. And it makes it very easy for you to just say, yep, I like this, use it as a draft, and then you could tweak it within our Fuse platform and you're good to go. If you're using an external AI tool, same idea. Just make sure your prompt is pretty complete with a lot of details, and then you can just copy and paste whatever the output is. All right, so Jason, I'm going to open it up for questions now. If anybody wants more of a demo on either the blogging tool or the email tool, we have another minute or so. We could even stay a little bit after, but if anyone wants to see something else, for us to generate in either first draft blogging or first draft email, just do a little shout out and we could do that. Otherwise, let us know what other questions we have. Ian, I don't know, are there any questions we didn't answer in the Q&A or in chat?
Yeah, we have 2 questions here. The first one is from Edward, and he's asking, can AI be embedded into your website to answer questions from the visitor who asks a question? Add a prompt on the website. Any thoughts on that one?
Almost like a chat-like tool. I guess I need a little bit more
That's-
detail, but I think that's the request.
That's what
I
it
think that's
sounds
the
like.
question.
Aren't we wrapping into Forge? Monica, I'm looking at you a little bit because I know we have some agencies that will come to us and say, can you either tie into a solution? Some people use our chat to text module, which can be put onto
Yeah.
Forge, but AI specific thoughts.
Yeah, I don't have a specific example, but there are definitely chat tools that you can integrate with your Forge insurance agency website that may have some AI capabilities. Chatra may be one of them. It might be a paid plan though, if you do that, but for sure, I'm sure there is a tool out there that can kind of do like a little chat AI assistant. And in terms of your website, we do integrate with many platforms, chat platforms that are out there. So it's just a matter of giving our support team, sending them an email or giving us a call, and we could figure out if there's an option out there for you and help you potentially integrate it if it works with our platform. Ian, what's the next one?
Lindsay's asking if she makes an edit directly in first draft, will it keep the changes that are made after making those edits? So you good.
No, go ahead, Ian. Finish it up.
So if there's like additional changes made, will it kind of keep the previous version?
I believe it does. And Ian, actually, you would know better than I do, but I believe it shows you the different iterations, right? Of whatever the prompt spat out to us.
Yeah,
Or am I mixing that up?
I think it lets you like scroll through, but you can always, ask it to revert to a different version too and see how that works.
Yes, actually, hold on a second. Oh, look at that.
If
I
you
have
click
an
the
answer
tab
for you.
there, yep.
Can you guys see my screen? The answer is yes. Sorry, I didn't know the answer to that one. So yeah, if you use First Draft for blogging or First Draft for email, and you ask First Draft to redo whatever it did, like, hey, I don't like this version, or I want you to add more to it, it actually does save the versions that you've created, and you could scroll through and pick the one that you want to use and just use as draft. So that is available for email and blogging. Whew. Man, you guys really put me on the spot with that one. All right, so I know we're kind of coming to the end of this session. If we have any more questions, I'm going to sort of close out this webinar just to, do our little sign off. And then for those of you that want to stay on for a few minutes after the end time, Jason and I are happy to chat with you. We're happy to answer more questions. If you want to kind of do another demo, that's fine too. So thank you all for being here. Jason, thank you for being an amazing co-host today. I was nervous.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I was nervous, but you made me feel comfortable, and I think you did so
Oh my
great.
gosh.
I may have you back on the show. I don't know.
I'd
We'll have to see.
appreciate that. I like talking.
Yeah, but we'll have to see if we could fit you into our schedule. Very busy schedule. So
Appreciate that, Monica. Thanks.
no, but really loved having you. Thank you all for joining us on this live session. Like I said, you'll get your recording tomorrow along with the free AI resource. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.